Welcome back to the Dynamic Life Cycles podcast. Today we're sitting down with Joe Wakefield, a Squamish-based mountain bike photographer who's been documenting everything from grassroots riding through to some of the biggest moments in the sport. Originally from England, Joe made the move out here to fully immerse himself in the mountain bike scene and has built a career out of not only capturing just the riding, but the stories, the people, and the atmosphere that makes the sport what it is. In this episode, we get into how he got started, the role of passion projects, and how he turned them into real opportunities. We dive into what it actually takes to tell a story through a photo and how he captures the true scale of riding. He also talks about what it's like to be behind the lens when things get proper gnarly. We chat about working with athletes, brands, and events, and his approach to social media and how living in Squamish has really shaped and styled his life. Let's get into it. All right, Joe, how are you?
I am good. Yourself?
Yeah, great. You get out in the sun today?
We sure did, and what a unexpected result that was today, because I was fully expecting to drive. So I'm in Squamish, drive to North Van. All I'd heard about is these like spontaneous waterfalls that have just appeared everywhere. Shannon Falls is going off, and I was fully expecting to be down here. Like, brought all the rain gear, and it was got suntan.
Yeah,
it was so amazing.
Yeah, I was quite surprised. Like, where my desk is here at home, it's like has a window backing, and all of a sudden the whole room just like lit up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell is going on out there? And like turn around, it's full blue skies, and pretty wild.
Some dopamine.
Yeah, definitely. So you said you were down doing some photos and some shooting and things like that. Whereabouts?
So this was in light of obviously coming down here. We tied it in a rider that I shoot with a lot, like an extremely young, talented rider, Pat. He's Pat Chomist. He's at university here, and he lives in Burnaby. So we took the opportunity to go just hit any of the North Shore mountains. Usually we go to Seymour. He suggested Cyprus, and I've not really ridden there much at all.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up on Fifth Horseman, but like I mentioned to you before, we did some stuff previous to that. Couldn't tell you where it was. Don't know where it is. Phenomenal. Like the builds there and the effort that's been put in. Incredible. So yeah, we were just up there and did a few shots. It was fun. Haven't been on the camera for a couple months now, to be honest.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Just, so I'm not full-time as photography. I work as an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So during the winter months, inevitably, I go out and do some projects that you can shoot in the adverse weather, and usually it works out quite well. But the people that I've been shooting with have kind of been doing their own stuff at university, for example, and just kind of been like hunkered down. And yeah, it's just haven't had the opportunity to go out. I always find that it helps me creatively as well. If I take some time off, get away from Instagram, social media for a bit, like get off the camera, as soon as it's go time, that love is like renewed.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that later on. It's like one of my points, but that's a perfect thing that I want to ask about. Is like social media and like your creativity and what you see and how you see it. How, like, obviously everything in that world is influenced by what you're looking at. Do you find some of this, like, whether it's AI or whether it's just other people's work or that type of thing, like what really drives that creation? Because we can go so deep in this, but yeah, like where would you start with that?
Like utilizing social media, example, like to encourage the creativity?
Well, even the opposite, like not getting stuck in the same channel and rut. Like you just mentioned, you get off the social media side of things and things like that. Like, is there other things you do to try and create that creativity that's not in the mainstream side of things?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. For me, like, I think it's just having time away. I think this is kind of a very personal point of view, but I've always been a daydreamer. I always have been. Like even when I played football as a kid, like I just stand on the field and daydream. But when I give myself that space to think, ideas come to me. They can be influenced by things I've seen on social media, for example, at other photographers' work or creatives. But for the most part, if I stop looking at what everyone else is doing, take time away, it allows that kind of like thought to come, and I just randomly come up with ideas. Like on my phone, someone comes to my brain, I just make a note. And by the end of like these last couple of months, I've got a list now where previously, end of 2025, I was like, how do I top that year? Like, how do I do stuff again? There's different stuff I haven't shot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've like come up with a list again now, just in light of not being too focused on it. It's been really refreshing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very interesting way to look at it. And I think even myself, like I'm a very visual person and I think about a lot of things, and like the writing and the way you attack a line and things like that. So it's interesting to hear the same way, like for yourself, I guess you are a very like visual side of things.
For sure. Yeah. It's it helps like more than anything for me. I actually find quite seriously that if I do engage too much in other people's work, or just doom scrolling is a bad example, but if I'm too much involved in like replication or seeing what other people are doing, it definitely affects what I intend to do, because I'm always like referencing other people, but then I'm not thinking of my own ideas as well. Like I'm very fortunate in the sense that the people, there's many athletes that I do shoot with, and I'm never shy away if someone asks, but there's like 3 select riders, and in their own right, they're all extremely creative. They all build their own stuff, like trails, features, and just, I don't know if it's by chance or coincidence that I've happened to kind of move organically towards these people to work with, just because ideas bounce off each other, and yeah, we create some cool stuff, and I can't take credit and say it's all my ideas and inputs, because they're a massive part of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. When you say you're working with certain writers and things like that, whenever I've worked with a photographer, especially one-on-ones, I always find it's interesting, and depending on who I'm working with and what I'm working with, and depending on the style of writing and what we want to achieve, how do you work with them in the sense of that creative idea? Because obviously you're a writer yourself, you do quite a bit of writing from what I understand, but do you add to their writing and what they're writing and how they're writing, or do you kind of take that step back? Like I know working one-on-one is very different to working in like an event space, or where you can kind of hide behind the event as such. But when you're out there and it's so raw, and I know some of the shots that you've done, and once people start to look them up, like they're pretty iconic shots. But like how do you work with that? Like is that side of being on that side of the camera harder, I guess, than being in front of the camera? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, for me, a huge factor is the people that I work with being patient and giving that space for, because I'll be fumbling around. Like I'm not in my own mind a professional as for regards to efficiency.
Yeah.
By no means. Like today I lost my camera bag for like 5-10 minutes.
Oh wow.
Put it down, just like I get in the flow state, and all I'm thinking about is like what I'm taking a photo of, and the rest of the world just kind of falls to the wayside. And it's just like the best shots have come as a result of them being patient. A lot of I feel bad in a way. Like today, this my friend Patrick, when he's not with me, all he does is just ride trails. He's training for like the Squamish Enduro. And when he's with me, I'm just always holding back and like, oh, can we stop here? Can we look at this? Like, so it's that factor which actually makes more of a difference to me. Just them giving me space to
work,
try,
essentially.
just, F around and find out.
Yeah. I think that's like from a writer's point of view, I know if I'm going out with a photographer and they're taking their camera, I know that it's not going to be like a full-time ride, like hit everything as once and as fast as you can go type thing. I know that there's going to be that like almost faff, I guess, of the ride, but the goal of the ride isn't to get a training ride done as such. It's to get out there and be creative and work with that. And it's always interesting. And I guess a side question to that is, how do you work with your emotions in that situation? Because if they're doing something quite gnarly or crazy, like that ride across the waterfall in Squamish and stuff like that, which for the rider, yes, it's pretty wild. Yes, it's pretty gnarly for them to do, but they're so locked in and so confident in doing it that they have this almost attitude that they can just attempt it and they know what they need to do. But how do you not let your emotions feed into that, or do you let your emotions feed into that to help get them amped up? Because I've had both sides of the sort of coin with photographers, where one guy is like super high energy, like ready to get you going, getting you amped up, and then I've had the opposite where they're almost too calm and too chill and you just can't get into that headspace. Like, how do you play with that?
I guess I fall into the latter, but I don't aim to be a depressant when I'm there. But this is going to sound extremely cliche, but it's completely honest. I care way more about the people's like health and safety. Of course, I've gone and shot some photos where people are doing that waterfall shot as a great example, would have potentially been life or death if it had gone wrong.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like that shot in particular was one of the first real kind of extreme things I'd photographed. And I trust in their ability. And if they've done this before, that puts me at ease. But like today, when we were shooting, Patrick he's not ridden much because he's been doing in university. He's not feeling super dialed on a bike. And we pulled up at this feature, which he suggested, and he was like, this would be great to shoot. And I looked at it and I was like, man, if you're not feeling it, like, it makes no difference to me. Like,
yeah.
I do not care for you to just, that's one thing I make it very clear to people. I'm like, would you do this if I wasn't here?
Yeah.
And if they say like, I've done this multiple times, I'm going to do it anyway, sure, maybe I'll be more partial to being there. But the last thing I want is for someone to A, do something that they're worried about doing, or B, get injured because they want a shot.
Yeah.
That I really, really put down a hard line in the sand there.
Yeah. Have you ever stopped someone from doing like if they've ridden into it, say 2 or 3 times, and it's like in your head, you're like, yeah, we should not be here. Like, because at the end of the day, if something happens and it's just the two of you out there, like a lot of responsibility falls on you. Like, have you ever stopped somebody from doing an obstacle, or most of the time it's pretty solid?
I've never stopped anyone, but I trust in their judgment, and I feel very, very fortunate that people that I've associated with, they have very good judgment, and they will just turn around, and if they're not feeling it, they don't do it, and we call it a day.
Yeah.
Like that is, I guess now you say that, that's something I've kind of unintentionally navigated towards, like, I don't want to say my circle that I work with, but they've got a smart head on them for sure. And I have seen people that, you know, it would be amazing to go shoot with some of these people that are just pushing the boundaries constantly. But yeah, I don't think I'd feel comfortable in that environment.
Yeah.
Something like Rampage is different. Like,
yeah.
There's no onus on you to essentially deal with the repercussions of something going wrong.
Yeah.
And stuff did go wrong, and I witnessed that, and it plays on you. Even when you go from a big competition like that to local kind of grassroots stuff, you think about stuff like that. And, you know, I took a first aid course, and that wasn't coincidence. I don't want to be in a situation where that arises, or to see my friends get hurt, bottom line.
Yeah, 100%. And that was another thing I was thinking about as you were talking, as you started to bring up like the bigger events and being able to not hide behind the event, but when you're at those bigger events, you are solely there to take photos, and there is all of the other people there in the way of like all the medical staff, all of the event staff, all the other riders. There's like, you go to Rampage and there's how many people standing on the side of the mountain?
Hundreds.
Yeah, if not thousands, that will play an effect in the environment that's around there if the rider succeeds or doesn't succeed, versus when you're out there one by one. It's just an interesting thought I had earlier today, is like how that would go. And like even myself, like knock on wood, like I've been pretty lucky whenever filming, and I always think that with my racing history, I know where my limit is, and I almost kind of pull back slightly when I have a camera in front of me. Especially if I'm out there one-on-one, but it's always interesting. You mentioned some of the other events like Tour de Nar and things like that I know you've shot. How was that? Because I've heard so many mixed topics and opinions and things like that, and still going down this same train of thought a little bit, in the sense of like people encouraging each other to go further and bigger and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How did you find that event as someone that was capturing it and telling that story?
Yeah, in my experience, although I was kind of a bystander essentially, like I wasn't necessarily amongst the group, there didn't seem to be that dynamic of I don't know what you call it, bravado, masculine energy, whatever.
Yeah.
It seemed to be supportive, and if people wanted to try stuff, there was no like push to do that.
Yeah.
It was kind of, I guess you could argue the case that maybe people are influenced. Like if you see, 5 people do something in front of you like flawlessly, you kind of recreate.
The maths in your head almost adds up to being easier.
Yeah, so maybe that's something, but from what I saw, everyone signed waivers. There was none of that dynamic.
Yeah.
The riders there were top tier. Like I definitely think they did their due diligence I'm sure there was multiple other people that wanted to be a part of it that day, and they didn't make the cut, so to speak. But I guess I haven't really heard too much about the general consensus. There's obviously a reason why it doesn't continue now. It's probably nothing to do with how people felt about it, but I thought it was brilliant. And I guess one argument you could make is there was people that came from abroad and it might have been their first time putting rubber down in Squamish. I don't know that to be the case for sure, but we have seemingly a very specific type of riding.
Yeah.
And I've seen that when we've had people come out that are like maybe slopestyle athletes or racers, and we're all about, like, especially the features there, it's brake control and
so slow.
Being slow to do a feature, whether that's say a roll into a drop. It's all about speed control. And a lot of people that seemingly come here, they're kind of like, they're used to having speed to do features, and it's a flip side.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought for sure. Like, you look at any of someone like Remy's videos or that, and what he does is so impressive, but you're right, 100% of the video is talking about his brake control and what he does and how his tires and things like that are set up. But yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah.
So something that I wanted to ask you a bit about is, on your website you talk about doing like almost free photography. Do you do that just as more practice for yourself and things like that and getting out, or like, tell me a bit about that, because it seems almost the opposite to what anybody does. Like, I've not really met a photographer that's like, hit me up for free photography, like, and obviously there's more to this whole conversation, but like, tell me where that came from, or that idea.
It's just like, obviously I want to pursue it and keep doing it as like a profession, and if I can do it full time, that's great. But for me, it was never about, I've never been money driven for a start. And I think you're right. It's more about just like keeping time on the camera. Like, I've had these couple months off right now, and we went back today and I felt like an absolute amateur again. Like, obviously I know how to use equipment, but something disintegrates and you need to keep that like muscle memory going. I guess it's training essentially. But I've always said that, like, with athletes, I just love going out. There's a reason I do this, and it's purely because I want to go out and take photos of mountain biking. The mountain biking here has blown my mind, and it always will do. So it's just the opportunity to be able to go out and shoot. And I kind of draw a hard line if it's for athletes or riders for their socials. I just go do it because they enjoy the outcome. They get images of them shooting at riding, which they might not usually have. And then when it transitions into the world of like, oh, a brand reaches out, we really like this, we'd love to use it for our web or our socials or our advertising, then I have a rates kit. Like, I send it out to them, and that's where there's money involved. But I try to really keep that black and white. I don't want my passion to be dictated by like how much bag I'm making, you know. It's never been my priority. It's not why I got into it, and I want to keep that dynamic.
Yeah, I think that's such a good way to look at it. And like, as I say, it almost took me by surprise when I'm like, oh, this is kind of sweet. Like, go out, get some sweet shots. Like, obviously, as you say, like, you're still building your portfolio and your bits and pieces and things like that. Do you find it does lead to bigger things? Like, when you're first getting started and into the camera side of things, because you say you haven't been doing it for a super long time at the end of the day. But did you find that helped just get your name out there and start working with different brands and stuff? Or like, it's not obviously the drive behind it, but did that open a lot of doors?
Most definitely. Like, it's I mean, inevitably it has to start there anyway. Like, when you start off, you're not gonna, brands don't want to work with you, and you're not working with the best, I shouldn't say the best riders, it's like your friend that you're probably at a similar level to. And just to know, I'm a diabolical level rider, so like the people I ride with are pretty damn good. But yeah, I think like it just happened to be that way. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah. No, that's all right. As I say, it was just an interesting thing that just surprised me when I saw it on your website. I'm like, that's so sick. Like, I fully lost my train of thought there, but
no, I did too. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I had so much to say about that point as well.
Oh, storytelling. That's where I was going with that. Is a lot of these photos that you're taking are just not normal photos. I feel like, going back to when you're talking about the visualization and bits and pieces and ideas and things like that, is that something you consciously do, is look for alternate shots and alternate sort of angles and stuff? Like, I feel like you scroll down Pink Bike, you scroll down any of these other websites and that type of thing, and so many of the photos are the same. Like, you look at race photos and they're pretty much all of them are the same.
Yeah.
But then there was one, and I want to say it was a Rampage photo maybe, but there was like 4 or 5 guys. There was a silhouette, and there was like the rider in the air doing whatever the trick was. There was like a guy on a shovel, a guy on a camera, like,
there's a whole media team underneath.
Yeah, and he's like that type of thing, and like the whole cliche like 1,000 words to a photo type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, do you consciously look for that type of stuff when you're out there shooting?
I guess so. I mean, I'd be a liar if I said there's not a huge element of luck, but I think you make your own luck.
Yeah.
Like, if you, I guess like with Rampage particularly, there was, I was just everywhere. I just always had my eyes out for something. But like that shot, it was just so fortuitous. Like, it's the right time of day, the rider's hitting the right stuff, his team are there. Like, none of that was coordinated.
Yeah.
But long story short, I definitely do try and look for like different angles or different. When you're starting out photography, I always say like, it was thrilling, like even just to take the standard race shots and be able to capture something that's how you want it, be that blurry, not blurry, like to get the shot. And eventually, when you've done it so many times, I guess it boils down to dopamine again. Like, you look through your viewfinder and you're kind of like, I got it, but it's not hitting those buttons for me. And it's just this natural progression where I'm just always craving to look through the viewfinder. I'm like, oh my God, that's the one. So it's just by that process that we just started getting a bit more creative, using flashes, shooting not during the sun, shooting on adverse days, snow, like, it's just trying to think outside the box in that sense, I guess. But it's so many factors are just fortuitous.
Yeah,
they really are.
So, thinking back on some of your photos and stuff like that, is there any out there that you're like, yeah, that was like one of the, I don't even know how to ask this question exactly right, but like, it may not even be the best photo you've ever taken, but like, what's the photo that just makes you think like, yeah, that was sick? Like, was there a particular event or a particular time or a particular, like, just the way the photo came out?
Yeah, like and it was the most recent one before. Maybe that's why I've taken time off, because I'm like, I don't know if I can do it again, you know. It's the one of Patrick Chomis riding through the root ball. There's a big like fallen tree on the North Shore.
Yeah.
And like I went around, so I'm building something at the minute, and I wanted to build this big stump drop. We've got so many big old growth stumps, and I looked in Squamish, looked all the way up the Sea Sky for like a month, and couldn't find anything. Came to North Vancouver, and I was like, I don't know how it works here. This isn't my territory. I'm not going to go like too deep into this. I'm definitely not going to consider building anything. But when I was looking around, I found this huge tree that had fallen over, and someone had built like it wasn't a full trail, but like an access under the root ball. Well, this is awesome. I need to remember where this is. So like my trail forks is just full of pinned stuff where I just walk around and I'm like, oh, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. And yeah, we just went back to it and shot that with flashes in the pissing rain. And yeah, there's nothing to it. It's not part of a trail. Like his stance is so aggressive and it looks like he's going Mach 10.
Yeah.
In reality, like he was just perched up behind the root. He went through the root, made a cool position. And yeah, like I knew as soon as we took that one, I was like, that's super special.
Yeah.
I guess I'm worried now. Like, how do I top that one?
Yeah. Yeah. It's always interesting. And that was like where I know exactly the photo because I looked at it today and I'm like, that is sick. Like the way that the light behind just like lights up that whole ball. And it's like it's almost like he's getting barreled.
Like a portal.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's so sick. Do you find like some of these shots and stuff, and it's almost the opposite to what we're just talking about, but like lose a bit of their specialness because you see a lot of the behind the scenes, or do you get the enjoyment because of what you're creating, almost like the art of it, I guess? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. No, definitely the latter. It's cool to like conceptualize something, and I've definitely started putting less out now because I care way more about like what I'm making.
Mm-hmm.
I still shoot grassroots like enduros and stuff. I love that. It's like bread and butter. It keeps you on the camera. It keeps you tuned in and like able to use the camera and the gear correctly. But there's something really nice about like it sucks like today, like when we were out, we took a really cool shot, but because it wasn't moody, because we didn't use flash, because there wasn't all these like factors that reference say that photo, we were both like, oh, it's good, but it doesn't quite scratch that itch. And yeah, it's just this process that you just kind of have to learn to live with a bit.
Yeah, for sure. Do you ever what did I have written down? Do you ever like fight the camera in the sense of getting it to look the way you want it to look? So, and what I mean by that, there's so many of your shots that I was looking through that the features look real size, which I feel like is such a unique thing in any form of video or photo or whatever. What are you looking for to get that angle? Because as I say, it's so common to hear like, oh, GoPro effect, it's way bigger in person. Like you look at a lot of these bigger stunts that you're taking photos of and they look massive in the photo, which obviously means they're triple whatever the size you want to say in person, but like it gives that perspective. Where do you come up with the ideas for that? Like, is that just that visualization and things like that again?
Yeah, I guess so. Like I just really wanted to do it justice because it blows my mind. Some of the stuff people write down competently, like time and time again. And I guess a big factor of that is like having a variety of lenses. I've like invested in a big range of lenses, and some of them are super kooky and random and, you know, crazy brands that from the middle of nowhere. And yeah, I guess that's truly something that I have to like think about and like to think about. Like today shooting this, it was this huge rock roll. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like this big slope rock and it was ginormous. And I did one shot where I walked really far away, used like my 150 to 600 mil, which is like big lens, and it was cool, but in my mind it looked flat, like it did not do it justice. And then I took out my 10 mil fisheye, well not fisheye, just wide, and if you get in the right angle, like it really looks to how your eye sees it. And yeah, it's like it's something I consciously think about a lot. I don't want to do these disservice because it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. And as I say, it's so impressive being able to see the angles and the styles, and it's I feel like some of the photos you see, like, oh yeah, like that doesn't look too bad. And it's because the writer just looks so comfortable and so confident, and as you say, they just do it so easy almost. But then when it's put into perspective and the camera's the right angle and things like that, it's like, yeah.
These guys as well, the Instas, like I use an Insta and I truly believe that like some people utilize it to make stuff look way gnarlier.
Yeah.
But to an extent you can get footage to look like maybe what your eyes see.
Yeah.
So the GoPro effect, I think sometimes I've seen GoPro videos, I'm sure you have as well, where
Yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna find out where that is and go do it. You get there in reality and it's a big no.
Yeah.
Some of the footage I see of Insta, I'm like, nah, I can pass that up. I don't have to bother going on location. Like it is just messed up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the way that they're able to like warp almost the like edges of the screen and things like that, as you say, it makes it look like what you actually see is pretty impressive. For sure.
Do you like use these cameras out riding as well, or do you not do much like?
I did in the past, but I would say recently, when I say recently, the last 4 or 5 years, I just got over watching POV. Like I feel like everybody's doing POV since like the 360 cameras have become really good, really high quality. I feel like every second person's got a POV YouTube channel, the same as every second guy's got a podcast channel, you know, like, and for me, the POV is only good if I'm doing racing or if I'm looking to learn a trail. I don't really get that much excitement out of it. And I think it's because I've sort of ridden and lived a lot of the stuff that they're writing, that sitting on the couch just watching doesn't do much for me.
Yeah.
I understand, like, yeah, some of the stuff that they're doing is well above what I want to do now. But in a past life, I probably would have ridden a lot of it as well. So there's like this, I don't know how you want to describe it, but like, yeah, like I watched some of like Remy's stuff is a perfect example. Like his POV, sure, like that's impressive. But yeah, generally speaking now, no, I don't watch it. But then in turn, because I don't watch it and I'm not that interested, I don't generally take my own.
Yeah.
I really do like watching the like follow cams and stuff like that, where you can see the rider almost like video game style. Or the other option is like having the camera almost pointing backwards and have a rider in the camera in front of the rider.
Yeah.
And you can really see their body movements and the way that they move through the trail. Like I think is kind of cool.
I agree.
But yeah, generally POV with nothing around is, I don't know, boring for myself. But
yeah, I think similar to you, I've become like I really don't watch a lot of like videos, and I don't truthfully engage much with like much content on social and stuff like that. But in light of the video example, like I feel some of the more engaging stuff I have seen is actually with like follow drones as well. Like if not necessarily the ones that, you know, some of them now you just chuck up yourself and it follows you, and they're okay. But like when you have a real professional like drone pilot, FPV, that stuff is gripping.
Oh, that's insane. Like, was it?
And you're sat there on your like chair and like you're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. As I said, like that to me is like, yeah, like video game style POV. That to me makes a big difference to what you're able to see, what you're able to understand, because you watch the bike kick or watch the bike compress or watch the rider move in a certain direction to be able to get a certain thing. And I think that, yeah, for sure, like that's exciting to watch. And I'm sort of hoping they do more of that at like some of the World Cups and even like Dark Fest that's on at the moment and things like that, where they're doing a lot of those type of drone shots as such. It's pretty wild.
It's definitely, well, I mean, it's not the future is here, but I think, yeah, it's engaging. Maybe it's just because it's something different as well, but who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe we're tuned to always just look to like the next thing that grabs our attention, probably.
Yeah, definitely. So with your writing and things like that, do you feel like that changes a bit of the aspect of what you're looking at? And do you look at features as a writer before you look at them as a photographer, or do you find it the other way? So if you're out like writing, do you look at something like, oh, this would be sick to shoot? What comes first in your brain? Like, how would I ride this, or how would I shoot this?
Definitely shooting. Like, to my own accord, I've still got a lot of work to do with shooting. Like, I don't feel like I've made it, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But I can comfortably say I'm a better photographer than a biker.
Okay.
Like, so I will definitely, like I'll go for a ride, and I'll spot stuff, like just look on the trail. Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool. And then for the most part, I ask a rider that's way more competent than myself if they would be interested in riding it, and I will shoot it. My track record with biking isn't good. I crash a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, it's cool. I'm not unrealistic in terms of, like, I know what I could ride, and when I've built some stuff, and generally I will only build something if I feel like I could ride it.
Yeah.
I'm not unrealistic. Like, sure, I'd love to get the most ridiculous photo of a rider doing the most insane thing, but I don't want to be like, I don't want to make the call on that one. I leave it up to the riders to, like, I'll suggest an idea, and then if they want to do it, great. If they don't, then that's fair as well. Like,
yeah,
I don't, my whole idea of what is capable of people here is always being thrown a curveball.
Yeah.
Like, what I think is possible is, sorry, let me rephrase that. What I think is not possible every day gets told to me that it is in fact possible if you live in the Sea to Sky corridor and you ride a mountain bike.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because obviously with your accent, you're not from around here. Neither am I. So, but the Sea to Sky Squamish influence on what people are able to do is just so insane.
Yeah.
Like, how does that change your view? And like, as we mentioned, like, you've gone and shot some pretty big events, and like, as I say, you're at Rampage, like essentially the biggest event of all when it comes to this type of riding.
Mm-hmm.
When you're out there in the Sea to Sky, like, does that change your view when you go to some of these events and vice versa? Like,
yeah, I think like it always feels more raw to me here. It feels more homegrown. Like, people build their own shit, they go ride their own stuff. Like, I love that. And of course, Rampage is a spectacle, and people are throwing caution to the wind and doing stuff. But yeah, it's always felt like just special here. There's a reason why I've been like so drawn to it and gripped with like local riders, and everyone is so diverse here. People have all these different backgrounds that get thrown into the mix as well. Like, one guy I shoot with, Austin, has a strong BMX background. Like, Patrick has a strong racing background. Macho has like a surfing background. You can kind of see it in the way they ride, and it's really cool to have just such a melting pot of disciplines and different types of people here. I guess you get that at Rampage as well. You get guys with motor backgrounds and stuff, but
yeah,
it's always felt, for me personally, like more impressive the stuff that people do here. I guess there's no limits as well. You're not going to get a guy building a wobbly skinny over a waterfall at Rampage. Like, it's just stuff that exists here and probably nowhere else.
Yeah. Have you shot sort of more, what do I call it, like non-event space stuff outside of BC, or is it pretty much you're only outside of BC or Sea to Sky if it's more of an event? Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, most of like everything is here.
Yeah.
It's just a community, I guess, where I've met people. It mainly centers around here, and I like that. I do like that. Rampage is really the only time. Freeride Fiesta in Mexico, there's like a few times, if it's like big events, really appealing to me. But I genuinely just enjoy like being out with friends on projects here.
Yeah,
it's where I feel like it's just fun, and creatively there's no limits there.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I wanted to touch on, and we kind of, I guess, did a little bit at the beginning, but the social media influence, and you said you kind of hit and miss sometimes when you're on and off that. how, like, you sort of mentioned you kind of stay off it a little bit in the way of like trends and stuff like that, but do you find that that changes? I'm trying to think how I ask this question, but like, yeah, like if you're working with a writer or if you're working with certain people and you see certain obstacles, like how does that change? And do you ever feel like you're just shooting for Instagram or shooting for social media versus shooting the obstacle that will then end up on social media? Do you know
Yeah,
what
I
I
know what
mean?
you're
Like, is
saying.
there like some form of influence of like doing it for the gram, like,
There was, for sure. Yeah, and like, I mean, you probably experienced it as well. Like, it's so easy to get hooked with that. Um, for sure. Back in the day, like when I was trying to make a name for myself, that's you have to use those channels to promote yourself. So it's a necessary evil, so to speak. But I've the most excitement I've had is with a friend of mine, James. Like we went to Kamloops, and I took a photo of him like doing his first real good like suey jumping Kamloops at the dirt ranch,
mhm.
bike ranch, sorry. And he printed it out and put it on his wall, and it's like I thought that was awesome. That
Yeah.
meant way more to me than some brand sharing it, and it's just like gone 1 minute, gone the next. It's like off into the ether. I guess that's going off on a tangent here. I guess
Yeah.
that's why I pursue a lot of like print, because it's tangible. It's there. It's people can enjoy it in their own time. It's not just this like fleeting bullshit that we get on social media.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one, and like I feel like I've had almost the opposite of that, where I've shown up in a magazine or shown up in, I don't know, randomly on a website, and a little bit different for me because I don't really get told that it's going to be up there. Like obviously I know that, well, especially at a race, I know there's photographers and things like that. And then all of a sudden you're just like flicking through and you're like, oh, that's me. Like,
Yeah.
so I get that a little bit in the sense of like, yeah, it's kind of cool, but like it's interesting when you've almost created the art or like done the photography, and then someone actually takes it and
Hmm.
runs with it a little bit and makes it a physical object. I think is
Yeah.
kind of a cool feeling.
I guess on the flip side, like with yourself with this, do you feel like I feel like you would do it anyway, right? Regardless. Social media is a great avenue to put it out to the masses, but like, well, I guess the broader question is, did podcasts happen before people could use socials? Like, will they
Yeah,
happen?
the way I describe podcasting is it's talkback radio on demand.
Yeah.
Like we have movies on demand, TV on demand, we have whatever music, digital, whatever, however you want to say that. You can play whatever song you want whenever.
Hmm.
And podcast is just the evolution of talkback radio into, yeah, like the digital world, I think.
Yeah.
So like I personally feel like I've got a good relationship with social media, but at the same time I don't like the having to be forced to like post on it. Um and I definitely spend too much time on it. There's no doubt about
Hmm.
that. But going back to the podcast, yeah, like, and I've said this a million times, like I do this selfishly because I want to talk to people like yourself, whoever, athletes, blah blah blah. And as that comes around, like people want to hear that, which
Yeah.
I'm stoked on, because when someone comes up and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is sick," like I'm like, "Oh cool!" Like you actually listen to it and you're quoting things that either myself or the guest has said in the podcast. Like that's a really cool feeling.
Yeah.
Um, but at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, if there was no social media, I'd still do it.
You've got it so dialed as well, like the format of essentially just having a conversation. Like, it matters a lot just speaking to people.
Yeah, I think it definitely brings out a lot of different things, and a lot of, like, a good one was when Ellie was on and she was talking about at the top of the race run, she's listening to like classical music and
Hmm.
so many things that people don't even think about or don't even go into depth with. And I think that's, yeah, such a cool thing that comes from the podcast for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's raw, right? Like, as much as I could have pre-planned anything I say to come in here, like I never recall it. So it's just everyone has, I don't know, a mask or a facade, like especially in the realm of if they're professionals, racers, with brands, for example, they have put on a face.
Yeah.
But at least like here, it's just a conversation. It's you're not
Yeah.
hiding anything.
It's
the best.
Yeah, you almost can't after talking for whatever it's been, 45 odd minutes. It's like, yeah, like you get to a point where you can't hide from that. And that was something that I wanted to ask you about, is like the difference between working with athletes to working with brands to working with events. Like, how does that change? Because obviously working with a brand specifically, they want it to look a certain way and they want it to feel a certain way, but they've also employed you based on your skills and what you've done in the past. So like they can't just tell you how to do it and then you have to follow the guidelines because you have your own style. Like,
Yeah.
how does that work in that aspect of things? Like, you know where I'm going with that, you know? And then an event in particular might be like, all right, we need shots at this particular obstacle, or like, do you get to work sort of free range within a framework, I guess?
Yeah, I guess like in a perfect world, it would be amazing. And to my knowledge, maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot here. I don't think it's happened yet where someone's like, I love what you do and your take on it. We just want to, let you do your thing and we'll work with you because we like what you do. Rampage was an example of where I was consciously told to edit in a way that was editorial.
Mm-hmm.
And that meant nothing to me. I'm not been in that world for a long time. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And essentially it's, I guess it's making images true to reality. Like you're not making it warm, you're not making it cold, you're not changing colors. It's just matter of fact is what it is. And of course I did it because that's what was asked, but it felt a little bit soulless for me. Or maybe not soulless, but it just didn't allow me to put my, like, what looks good to me. And I don't think if it wasn't an event of that caliber, maybe I wouldn't have been too happy about putting that out in a wider world, because at that point it just looks like everyone else's. And yeah, that was a strange experience when that happened. And the guy that told me to do it, like, way more established than I am and probably will ever be. So I was like, okay, I trust the information you're giving me here. And yeah, it's just different strokes for different folks. It's a style that it's all a learning curve. I'll be the first to admit, like, it's still always a learning curve for me, and it never stops being one. And yeah, I can't remember that bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, like, yeah, it's interesting to hear, like, you still have some sort of free range, but there is, like, definitely times where they're like, all right, we need it shot this way, that way, blah, blah, blah. So,
yeah.
So before we wind this up a little bit, the biggest thing that I'd like to ask you is, like, dream shoot. Like, who, where, what, when, like, I know it's in the back of your head because everybody thinks about this type of thing, whether it be like myself, like I've got like certain guests that I want to get on in the future or work with, or like for you, have you got something in mind, or is there something coming up, or like what would that look like?
There is something that I believe is coming up, and I don't know if it's confirmed, but there is rumored to be a local event of some serious caliber that's happening on Cyprus.
Yeah.
Later on in the year. So, like, to be put in the mix to shoot something like that would be wonderful. I hope you catch my drift here.
Yeah, no, like you don't have to say it. I can say it, and I think it's somewhat common knowledge that there's a possible possible hardline at Cyprus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to say that I know that there's something happening there, but at this point there's a lot of backwards and forwards with let's just call it the politics of the environment. So I don't know if it's fully confirmed yet, but yeah, like that would be a pretty wild event.
Like a first. I guess, like, being able to shoot first. Ladies Rampage, for example. Great example. I felt so privileged to be a part of that and to be able to document that. Yeah, just kind of like firsts, and to move with the way mountain biking is going. New events that are being put on, like up and coming riders, just to be at least in the mix. Yeah. As far as like a dream rider to shoot with, I don't think there's any one particular person, but I really do love the cross disciplines. We see it a lot like around here, people with BMX backgrounds that just ride the bikes in a less conventional way than, I don't know, just like, I guess free ride is unconventional in the sense that people were doing tricks and stuff. But yeah, just someone that's, well, I mean, the people I work with are great. I'm really happy with them. And there's no pressure. I feel like if I was asked to shoot with like a pedestal athlete like this is the best of the best, oh my God, I'd be crushed with trying to like do the best job I could and the nerves and whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I just, an event like Hardline would be fantastic if it goes ahead, and just to support events that go on locally.
Yeah.
At the minute, this is a slight offshoot, but I've had like the last year, the one event that took me by surprise that I will persist in attending and shooting was at Crankworks, the adaptive racing.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. And I'm not just saying that. Like, I went into the last Crankworks a bit like, oh, I don't know what's going to stimulate me here. So I was just, I'll just try, and I'll go to all the different events and just see what takes my fancy. First time I'd seen the adaptive racing, it was incredible. Those people go like,
they're
insanely fast. All the bikes and the what they call the bowheads and those kind of, they're all super bespoke. That stood out to me like head and shoulders as something that was impressive, and I'd love to keep doing that.
Yeah, and they're not scared either. Like like one of my friends, I don't even know what that is that she has. I think it's spina bifida, which is where you're sort of not fully formed from the hips down. Like that from birth. She's grown up with that and learnt all about it. She walks around with crutches and things like that. But she was on the Olympic or the Paralympic team for skiing. And like, full side topic here, but it's like, yeah, she ended up being on the Paralympic team, downhill skier. Whenever I've gone skiing with her, I'm just like, there is no way I can keep up with you. And like, I don't find myself a bad skier, especially in the resort side of things, but she was just like insane.
Yeah.
And then moving here quite a few years ago, and then seeing them in the park, like the people on those like bowheads and any of the adaptive stuff is just like mental what they ride down. Like half the people can't ride down it as a regular person, let alone like what they're doing it on a 4-wheel type machine.
Filthy Ape, Oakley Hip, like seen it all.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And I presume it's still in its infancy with the technology. Like, mate, I know the bowheads are exceptional. I've seen that, but I feel like there's probably way more coming that will give riders way more access. And yeah, it's just, that has just blown my mind, and I want to keep documenting that. At the Loam Hustler, the event, there's like an adaptive aspect to the race there.
Yeah, sweet.
I'm just going to go out and shoot that because
why not?
Yeah, it just interests me. Yeah, it's something, it just keeps me interested in like, and the people is,
yeah, the stories that the people have is like insane. And it's one that I feel comes up so often in the sense of like, oh, if you get hurt, like, how are you going to continue with life? And it's like, well, as long as I can still breathe and I can talk and I can look around, then like, I'm sure something will happen and you'll be able to move on. Like, people are out there doing it.
Yeah,
like
it's getting wild as well. Like, I've seen you may have seen it on the North Shore as well. I think I was riding Frome, and there was this group of people, and it, like, some of them had leather jackets. They weren't like dressed like mountain bikers because they weren't, but they were on these one wheels, like these full suspension one wheels.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen this.
They were sending it,
like the electric one wheel type things you're talking about.
Yeah, so they're stood,
like a go-kart
stood on
wheel.
It facing forwards. Yeah, and it's a singular wheel that's gyroscopic, and they were going down like rock rolls, and they were doing jumps on these things.
Yeah,
and it was like this really small little tight knit community of people. Were just, they diversified, but they were using the same trails.
Yeah.
And there's a couple guys on the North Shore that ride unicycles pretty extremely.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a video. Oh, what was it? It might have been like one of the early New World Disorders, and there's a full unicycle section in the video. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but he rides. I'm pretty sure it's the Burrard Bridge. He rides the handrail along that, and a bunch of other things. But yeah, like the unicyclists are, yeah, their own breed altogether.
I love it. It's so weird and kooky.
Yeah,
just diversifying on like what we have. Everyone's nuts around here. They
yeah,
actually are.
yeah. It goes back to what we were saying earlier, where it's like the Sea to Sky has its own level of just like insanity.
Yeah, it's pretty damn special to be here to like document that. And I mean, you're a part of it. You're part of the insane.
Trying anyway. So, yeah. Is there anything you think we missed? I feel like we touched a lot of subjects, but
I guess no, not really. I mean, I feel like I would have liked to offshoot with some more questions about yourself. Like, I don't know much about your background. Obviously, you're racing, but like, did you come here for biking?
Yeah, originally. Came over with just looking for a bit of a different scenery, and sort of at the point of like not finished racing in Australia, but like started to get worn out from racing in Australia. So came here for a bit of a change, bit of a holiday, working visa type thing. Mm-hmm. And then obviously fell in love with the mountains. I'd never skied before I moved here. Very rarely saw snow in Australia. There's only a couple of mountains that you can ski at. Mm-hmm. So sort of fell in love with that. And then, sort of work opportunities, things like that. And then it's been almost 8 years now, like full citizen and everything like that. So
2018.
Yeah, middle of 2018.
We're the same then.
Yeah. So obviously the COVID years sort of changed a few different things, but being in the bicycle industry, it just got more hectic compared to what it was. But my life didn't really change. I just kept riding bikes and just having fun. And I was one of the lucky ones that my day-to-day job stayed much the same. And then, continued living and here we are now. So
it's a funny one that's like something I really beat around the bush with is for like a lot of my family and friends. A lot of my friends live in Dubai. Like my family live in England, obviously. COVID was tough, and I have to really pump the brakes when I speak about that time, because for the majority of the world, it wasn't a fun time.
No.
Here, I just got to ride bikes and ski. It was so insular.
Yeah.
And everyone, for the most part, seems to be fit and healthy, and it made an impact, but it wasn't as dramatic as other places.
Yeah, I would say, and not to dive too deep down this hole, but yes, we were very lucky here and the way that things happened and the way things rolled out and all of that. But I had a lot of friends that were, let's say, heavily invested in the racing side of things, whether it be anywhere from beer league all the way through to like international. And to be honest, it was more the beer league people that got affected, because their weekly routine and their personal identity was all thrown out the window. Mm-hmm. So like everything from like the reason they train, the reason they get up at a certain time in the morning, the reason they sit on a trainer, the reason they go to the gym, like their whole life revolved around going to a race once a week on a Tuesday evening or a Thursday evening or whatever it is. And all of a sudden that's thrown out the window, and they're like, oh, I've done this for 10 years. What do I do now? That to me was like the downside for like locally, I think. Mm-hmm. As you say, the public health was pretty good. Like everyone got it, but it wasn't as deadly as people said in other countries. But
yeah, you'd be a really good person to ask as well. Sorry to cut you up there, but like being with Norco in the bike industry, like how do you feel? Because I was just getting into biking around COVID, so for me, I didn't really have reference to pre with the industry. But as soon as that was over, like brands like Kona were doing buy one bike, get one free. And do you think that's kind of like recovered, or there's still some big...
Yeah, it depends on who you're talking to, and I don't know. I've got a bit of a controversial opinion on the failing of the bicycle industry, if you want to call it that. And the reason I say that is I'm very data driven, very much like, okay, like you sold X amount of bikes here, you sold X amount of this, you sold X amount of that. Like, let's look at these numbers and use them as like, whether you want to call it historical fact or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, that's what the number was. We don't need to triple that order. And you also need to look back into, like, let's just say the last 20 years of bicycle industry. Like, every time it goes in a wave. There's always a wave, like literally, especially at a retail level. But I think the retail level was the ones that suffered in this scenario at a higher level. And sure, like, I think there's a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes that I'm not even aware of. But there was a lot of things that were like, okay, if brand X that normally orders 100 bikes a year and they're fifth in line versus brand Y that gets, I don't know, 2,000 bikes a year, all of a sudden brand Y is now putting in 6,000 bikes.
Mm-hmm.
And if the brand that's like normally fifth in line gets bumped to 10th in line, they've then got to put in a bigger order to then put themselves back in priority.
Interesting.
And all of a sudden it became this like sort of flex on each other to get into a priority line, versus if everybody was like, okay, we're now selling 3 times the amount of stock. If we all work through this together as an industry and not bump each other out of line,
mm-hmm.
like, yeah, sure, manufacturing is going to take time to keep up. There's so many other aspects that go into that. But I think the issue was so many people overinflated the number that they were looking for just to keep their priority in line.
Yeah.
And then obviously as the wave comes down and settles out, there wasn't enough sort of push whatever from the consumer side of things to keep on top of what the demand was / what was being presented by the manufacturing, and everything caught up. And then there was a massive sort of, I guess, under demand, oversupply.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to see that balance out. And even on Norco's side of things, like, you're seeing a positive change forwards. But then on the flip side, you look at like brands like YT or GT or any of these brands that are closing down. And I think, unfortunately, it's the way that they must have looked at their data and the way that they tried to use the money that they were gaining and use the popularity that they were gaining to change the world.
Mm-hmm.
And well, luckily enough, and I can talk on Norco very, very lightly because of my position, but they've been around for 60 odd years. They've gone through so many of these changes. So is Specialized, so is Trek. Like,
Yeah.
Specialized is what, 50 plus years? Trek is somewhere in that 40 plus year range. All of these major companies have been around for a long time. Giants in the same world sort of age group.
Mm-hmm.
These companies have lasted a lot of shit, and that's why I think they're so successful now, versus some of these younger companies that have been around 10 years, 15 years. They haven't gone through those sort of waves to accomplish it. So
I'm sure there's so much truth in that. That makes a lot of sense for sure. Yeah, it's I truly do wish the best, and it works, and it's cool just to have that like diversity. And I do see it coming back. There's like small local Whistler to Vancouver brands that pop up, and it's like, I love that.
Yeah.
It's, gearboxes or these bespoke little things as an accessory to all the larger brands. And I truly do hope that like yeah, it springs back, and it can keep it. Well, I guess one thing that we do overlook because we're in it, for the majority of the world, this is pretty extreme. Like
Yeah.
mountain biking in general.
Yeah. You're talking about like 1% of the population that
Yeah.
is actually riding a mountain bike. And then when you look at it like that and you're like, well, there's like only a handful of people that can do certain things, like
Yeah, and the
pretty
companies that
wild.
have diversified, like the bigger brands that do road bikes or commuter bikes, like yeah, there's just spreading the field a bit seems to have been successful in terms of like resilience.
Yeah, definitely.
No, that's a really cool take on it. It's something I just wasn't too aware of, but I heard on the back end of it, like shit's hitting the fan. I was like, wow, this seems like the worst time to leave my secure job engineering to pursue mountain bike photography. Like,
yeah, I would say it's getting better. As long as the brand is looking at what they're doing and how they're spending money, and yes, like a lot of things are being tightened up, purse strings are tight now, but I think it has to be. And as a whole, I think it's becoming more professional, and so I think it's pretty cool in that sense.
Yeah, I'm ready for a boom again.
Yeah, definitely. All right. On that note, thank you for coming in and spending the hour.
Thank you very much. It's crazy. I've usually got like so much to speak about. Hopefully, I was good.
It was perfect.
Like as soon as I put these headphones on and that thing's poking me in the face, I'm like, oh, my brain just went to shit.
No, you were good. No, that was really good. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it a lot.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
All good.